Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah? Okay.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. So, Tao?
Yeah, okay, let's start with the session. Hello again, everyone. And this first session is about medical students and mental health. And yeah, next slide. And what are we going to talk about today? We will give you a brief introduction to mental health. We say why it's important, some facts. We cover how mental health can affect your personal and work life. And also, this session is about medical students, so we will talk about the most common mental health problems of medical students. And the last point is about tricks and tips, like what can we do to prevent mental health issues and so on. And after that, we will answer your questions and give a brief summary. Okay. And yeah, I wanted to mention, if you have any questions or comments, you can text to the text box. And yeah, you can. It can be interactive. You can ask questions and while we are talking. So don't worry. Okay, let's start. And first slide is pretty basic. It's about health and physical and mental health, because like many people think that physical and mental health are two really different things, and they really don't know how they're different, how they're connected, should they be connected, and do they have any differences? Okay, let's but let's talk about it now. Okay, next slide. So what is health? The WHO definition is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So, as you can see, the WHO also includes mental health in their definition of health. So we can see it's a really important part of health. And as you can see, healthy body, healthy mind equals to happy life. So it's definitely uh, in this definition, and yeah, we should know this. And yeah, okay, next slide. But what is mental health? Uh, so this is also a WHO definition, and I can read it to you. The full definition. Mental health is defined as a state of well-being in which every individual realizes his or her own potential, can cope with the normal stresses of life, and can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to her or his community. So, as you can see, it has many important parts. First of all, realizes his or her own potential. So, you know uh, what you can do, how effective you can work. What you are able to do. The second thing, can cope with the normal stresses of life. Yeah, we can say that every one of us can feel stress. Sometimes it can be a good stress or bad stress, but we feel different stresses different times. So it's included in this term. And the important thing is we can cope with the stresses. Uh, they don't go to don't lead to the burnout and depression and so on. The third thing is can work productively and fruitfully. So you can work effectively. And last thing is able to make a contribution to her or his community. So basically, you have the output or the value. Your work has the value, and these four things are included in this term and definition. So as you can see, it has many different parts, and mental health is a really, really big thing, just and not just defined with one sentence. Okay, let's go on. But why is mental health and mental illness different? These two terms are often used differently. But mental health is like a general term. It's something you should look after. Every person has it and works with it, and the thing contains everything related to mental health. But on the other hand, mental illness is some factor or something that disrupts your mental state and interrupts how you can feel, think, communicate, behave, and so on. So we have different mental conditions, mental illnesses, mental diseases. These are all really different terms that you should look after before you use them, because they mean different things, and we can't just say that one thing is a mental disease and the second one is not, because uh, these are really complex things, and some things, for example, stress, the ICDs, like the guidelines doesn't include stress in them. So we can't say that like stress is a disease, but we can say it's a mental state, for example. So we have many different terms uh, in mental illness, and we should use them in a right way. Okay. Mental disorders. Yes. Here you can see uh, like the common mental disorders, or the most known of them. First of all, depression. Yeah, I guess every one of you knows what is depression. It can be the final state of burnout and stress. The second one, bipolar affective disorder. It means really quick change of moods. Uh, it can change in hours or days, but it can change really drastically from one side to another. Schizophrenia and other psychosis. Yeah, it's commonly defined as a like unusual social behavior and difficulties to see the reality, and it has many subdisorders, many different ways. And the fourth thing is dementia. So basically, you forgot things easier than you should. Uh, it can happen in any age. And the fifth one, intellectual disabilities and developmental disorders. Yeah, it includes autism and I guess we all know the Down syndrome, so it includes this as well. And yeah, many different genetic conditions as well. So this five, maybe you have heard about them, but these are the most known mental health disorders. And yeah, next time someone is talking about them, you can recognize them. Okay, let's go on. So we wanted to show you some facts related to mental health, to show you why this topic is really, really important and why we should talk about it. As you can see, 450 million people are suffering from mental health diseases every day, and it means 1 in 4 adults have some kind of mental health disease, and 1 in 5 children also have a mental health issue. So these are really, really big numbers. and we should be aware that these people are not somewhere far away. They are around us, and maybe we don't recognize that some of our closest friends or the people we are working with have mental health issues, but we should be aware of it, and yeah, we should be knowledgeable about it. Okay, let's go on. Some other facts. Yes. For example, uh, suicide is the second cause of death in teens from 14 to 29-year-old. So in total, we have 800,000 deaths per year globally. It's a really big number. For example, if I think about my home country, Estonia, we have 1.3 million people living here. So compared to this, it's 800,000 people is really, really big number. What else? And yeah, around 20% of the world's children and adolescents have any kind of have some kind of mental health disorders or problems. So we should be aware that it's not a like adults or elderly problem. Uh, it happens with the children, and it can happen to any one of us. So we should be aware of it. Okay, let's go on. We have some other facts. Yeah, I added this picture because yeah, we are the future healthcare workers, and stress is also a really important thing. And here are said that 75 to 90% of all doctor office visits are caused by stress. So stressors are also related to mental health, and it's a really big number. And so basically, people have different. Yeah, this is one of example. Like people have any kind of have some kind of mental health condition. They feel some symptoms, but they don't know what this disease is exactly. So they're a little bit stressed, and they want to know what is this what is what happened with them basically, and so they are a little bit stressed because uh, you have to wait your appointment and so on. So you don't know what is happening with you, and you are stressed out. So basically, many appointments are caused because of stress, and because people don't know what is uh, wrong with them, basically. And also, you can see that stress is a really important thing in workers, and and 65% of people think that say that the work is their top source of stress, and a lot of them uh, have felt the burnout as well. So yeah, it's a really big thing, and especially for us as a future healthcare workers, we should be aware of different stresses in our lives and how to cope with them. Okay. Determinants of mental health. Yes, this is also a good topic because we have different determinants, and um, in this slide, I would ask you to write some things in the text box. What do you think? What can cause mental health disorders? So, can you name any kind of determinants? I mentioned work as a thing, but can you name some other things in the text box? So now it's your turn. Come on, don't be shy. Yeah, family, of course. Especially in COVID times, you have spent a lot of time with your family in a small apartment or house. Yeah, childhood trauma, and lack of self-confidence, yes. Genetics, of course. Drugs, you're very good. Lack of confidence, yes. Addictions, yes. The motivation, good. Different sexual orientation, very good. Substance abuse. Age. Okay, what do you think about this? Interpersonal relationships, yeah. Poverty, bullying, gender, chronic conditions, loneliness, family. Yeah. Yes, very good. Personality, social stigmas, any form of discrimination. Okay. You can write the final answers now if you have something in your mind. Okay. For support system. Yes. Good point. Okay. So basically, multiple social, psychological, and biological factors determine the level of mental health. Basically, of any person at any point of time. For example, violence, and as you said, and persistent socioeconomic pressures, also gender, and so on, are recognized risks of mental health. So you answered right to this question. And I want to mention that the clearest evidence is associated with the sexual violence, and especially in children. So this has this is the fact and stated in many medical researches, and also we can say poor mental health is associated with social changes, stressful work conditions, as you mentioned, the gender discrimination.
We can't hear you. Or-
Oh, sorry. Oh, somehow, yeah, my mic muted. Okay. What was the last thing you heard?
Social discrimination, I believe.
Okay. Social discrimination. Yes. Okay. Did you hear the sexual violence evidence? No?
I think so, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. And you also mentioned the genetics, which is a biological factor where
It means
I don't know what's happening, but someone is muting all of us. Can you please stop it? Okay. Let's move on. Um, so, oh, and there's also specific psychological and personality factors that make all of us vulnerable to mental health problems. For example, trauma or early loss of parents. You also mentioned this one. Oh, and I forgot to mention that biological risks include genetic factors and abnormalities in multiple genes. And yeah, we can go to the next slide. And I guess, yeah, this is the environmental factors associated with mental illnesses. So as you can see, we have different mental health diseases on top of the slide, and you can see that we have different conditions on the left side, and you can see that many many environmental factors have connected with mental illnesses. For example, the strongest evidence is with drug use in adolescents. For example, cannabis and stimulants are connected with the schizophrenia. Also, childhood environment is really associated with the depression, and also the pregnancy risk factors, and also the prenatal risk factors are associated with schizophrenia as well, but also with autism. So it's not only the genes that are affecting us, but also the environmental factors are really important, especially during the pregnancy and early childhood, because in this age, your brain and your nerve systems are developing, and any changes are really important in this period of time. Okay, we can go on. Yeah, Yuria, we can't hear you.
We still can't hear you.
Yeah, I was muted. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. First of all, do you have any questions about what Tower talked about till now?
Yes, you can ask any questions if you have, or you can ask them at the end as well.
Okay, if not, then we can move on. So now Tower explained to you the general part about mental health and mental illnesses, but now we're going to talk about what are the effects on medical students, because as we all know, and we are experiencing it almost every day, during the university, we have a lot of exams, we have a lot of studying going on. Sometimes we don't have enough time for our hobbies, so that makes us more reluctant, more predisposed to developing a mental health issue. So the med school dilemma usually is about three things, if we categorize them in this way. You might choose between study and work, between socializing and having enough sleep, having enough meals and exercising. So a lot of times you just only have to pick two because you don't have enough time. So this, in a study done by the Australian Medical Students Associations, I believe, these were the most commonly identified sources of stress, which were related to different conflicts between their studies, their home environment with their family, their career, and the personal responsibilities that they take every day. So as some statistics that were discovered were that about 55% of medical students have reported experiencing different symptoms of mental illnesses. So that's more than half. So it means that it should be a serious problem and not be ignored. Another statistic shows that about 13% of medical students felt that doctors with a history of depression or anxiety disorder were not as reliable as the average doctor. What does this mean? This means that they might hide what they are feeling. They might hide that they are suffering from a mental health disorder because they don't want to be perceived as weak or not a good doctor. And another thing is that about 53% of medical students are unwilling to seek help because of fear of lack of confidentiality and privacy. So about 50% of medical students are just hiding. Okay? They don't seek help. They don't want to talk with anyone about their issues. They don't want to seek professional help. And that might have a lot of consequences on their everyday life and on their work. Now we're going to talk a bit about depression, because depression is the most common mental health issue in medical students. As you see in this picture, there's a guy who just left his head over the book, and a lot of books near him because he has so much to study and he went into burnout, and he doesn't know how to read them all in time for his exams, and now he's just exhausted, and he is desperate and doesn't know what to do. This is a suggestive picture for the depression. Now, the depression in medical students, actually, it affects 1 in 4 medical students, which is a really, really frequent. Like, think about it in your small group in your university. For example, in my university, we are divided in groups of 6 people. So that would mean 4 people in my group might have, not 4, 1 in 4 might have depression. So I might even know someone who is suffering from depression. So it doesn't require to have a big group of people, and you just have to be in a small group of people and you might know someone who is suffering from depression. Another important percent is that 11% of medical students have had suicidal thoughts. So just think of it. It's 11 students out of 100 students that at some point have thought about this. So this is very important because it's very grave. It might have like really bad consequences. And another important statistic is that only 15% of affected students sought professional help. Okay, so, and this is an official source, okay, it's from the Journal of the American Medical Association. Now, why do you think that so little students sought professional help, only 15%? If you can unmute your microphone or write in chat, why do you think only so few people sought professional help?
Can you see the messages, Julia?
No, I can't. If you can read it.
So yeah, basically people write the stigma. They might feel that they're the only one there for stigma, afraid of being judged. Yeah.
Yes. Those are very good answers, and like.
Or
yeah,
the impression of weakness, and that they feel they should be coping themselves, and they might not put the time for their mental health.
Yeah, exactly. Very good answers. So now we're going to talk about the signs and symptoms of depression. A first symptom that a person suffering from depression might have is the feeling of helplessness. Okay, so these people might feel that they cannot do anything to change their everyday life. They might feel that there's no hope in changing their situation. And they would just accept it and be very discouraged with everything. Another symptom that they might have is the feeling of guilt. They might feel that everything that's bad in their life or in other people's life, it's somehow their fault. It's their fault that even when they, I don't know, touch someone by mistake, they might feel, okay, I'm hurting you, I'm sorry. They are excessively sorry for everything, and they are feeling guilty for everything. If there is something bad happening in their family, they might also feel that is their fault, even though it isn't. They might also have extreme anger or irritability. They might snap just in a second, and they have they cannot remain calm in different situations, and they would just explode with anger. Another sign that it's very visible, especially with their loved ones or friends, is that they are withdrawing from every social activity. They are isolating themselves, and this might just amplify all the other symptoms, because they are just there with their thoughts and they are not sharing it with anyone. Also, all these things, because they have extremely bad thoughts, it might lead to no concentration. So they might find it very hard to focus on their studies. They might find it hard even to read the news or watch a TV series or something. So their focus and concentration would be almost zero. They might also experience changes in appetite or alcohol and drug abuse, because it's like a refuge for them. So they might drink a lot to just forget. That's what they think. They would just forget about everything, even though that might lead to other really bad health consequences, or even drug abuse, because they are not, for example, concentrating enough, and they might try to search for different drugs that might enhance their way of concentration, and even abuse them too much, and again have different side effects. They might also, okay, with their changes in appetite, this can either be eating too much because they are not satisfied with anything they eat, then they are feeling guilty because they ate too much, or it might lead to appetite loss, so they are not eating anything, or just let's say they take one bite of a sandwich in one day, so they might be very weak because of this. Another thing that might make them use different drugs is the sleep problems and energy loss. Because they are not eating, they are just laying in bed, and they are just experiencing all these symptoms in their body, and they are feeling they are very low with energy, and they cannot sleep at night, even though they feel tired all the time, but they have insomnia. So they might want to abuse some different drugs that might help them with sleeping. And again, that won't be good for their health. And one of the worst symptoms would be that they have thoughts of death. They might have suicide thoughts. And here I would like to add that if sometimes or anytime, like one of your friends or a family member just wants to talk to you about this and confides in you that they are having thoughts of suicide, please don't dismiss them. Talk with them, because they might approach you because they trust you a lot, and this might be a call for help. Because they are desperate and they don't know what to do. They don't feel okay with their life right now. So just understand them. Don't try to fix their situation. Just be there for them and show them that you care. That's a very important thing to know, that there is still someone there for them. Okay. Now we're gonna talk about the most common causes of depression in medical schools. So as you probably experienced in your universities, in medical schools, there is a lot of competition. Everyone wants to be the best. Everyone wants to win a scholarship. So that requires them to have the best grades out of all. Also, because of this competition thing, people might not be too friendly with each other because they might hide the information or stuff like that just for them to be the best, and they are ignoring other people, and that would lead to lack of proper socialization between them. Then, because everyone wants to study so much to be the best one, it might lead to a lot of stress for them because they might not have a balance between in their life. They might not have a balance between studying, socializing, and different healthy activities such as sleep, eat, and exercise. And because they are studying a lot, okay, they are isolating, yeah? They are just staying there at home or in the library with their books and not talking with anyone. And because humans are social beings, we need to talk with other people. We need to experience laughter. We need to have different activities and experiences, just talk with other people, how are you doing, and stuff like that. It doesn't have to be every day, because if you have one day where you just want to be by yourself, that's okay. But from time to time, everyone needs socialization. Another thing that might cause depression is the lack of sleep, which is again in relation with the stress caused by the competition and a huge amount of studying that needs to be done. So people, medical students might just forget that there is a need for sleeping. They might lose all night before an exam, or even more days before the exam, to study for a lot and just sleep for 1 to 3 hours a day, and that's not enough for your body to recover from the past days. And also the lack of sleep might lead to, like in relation to the studying process, might lead to different memory issues and also trouble concentrating. So this amplifies all the symptoms that you might have with all the stress, and because you're studying so hard, and all of this might lead to developing depression. Again, the long studying hours might mean that you don't have time for going out with friends or just talking with them on the phone, because you say all the time, oh, I have to study, I don't have time for this. But if you don't have time for this, some people say, oh, I don't have time to go for a walk or even do my exercise. There's no time for that. Or I don't have time to go to sleep. I don't have time to prepare a meal and eat, because after I eat, I feel sleepy and I cannot study anymore. So that leads to just long studying hours and ignoring any other physiological needs. And also, all these things lead to increased stress. And when you are very, very stressed, you are not coping with everyday life in a proper way. And you might you might feel all the damage physically, but with a lot of extreme stress, you are then experiencing burnout, which is one of the main things that may lead to depression, because when you are in burnout, you are experiencing emotional damage. Okay, so you might feel that you have a low sense of accomplishment. You might experience severe fatigue. You might even want to drop out of faculty, or because you are losing all your motivation, because you feel that there is too much and you cannot do it all, and you are just exasperating and are frustrated about everything. Okay, so these are the most common causes of depression in medical students. And as you see, they are all interrelated, okay? They are not individualized, they are all in relation with each other. These are some quotes from different medical students that are saying how hard it is to manage everything in medical school. So in case you have experienced all these things, keep in mind that you are not alone. There are a lot of medical students that are going through this, and just think about it that you're not the first and not the last person who will go through this. So yeah, do you have any questions so far? If not, I can move on. I cannot see the chat. If someone wrote a question, please someone tell me.
There's no questions right now.
Okay. Then we are coming to the final part of our presentation. Okay, but what can we do to prevent everything, to prevent all these mental health issues to develop, to how to prevent the development of depression in us, in medical students? So what can we do, basically? Here you have the mental health self-care wheel. As you see, there are different domains in which you can act in order to prevent yourself from developing any mental health issues. And also, it's about caring for yourself and your mental health. Okay, so first of all, we have the physical domain. It is very important that you have regular sleep, that you exercise from time to time. You don't have to go to the gym every day or something like that, but still from time to time, at least once a week, do that, and then you will feel very energized, and you might feel like, oh, well, finally I've done this. I wanted to do it for a long time. So just think that you've done it for yourself and not for other people. You might want to get a massage from time to time, so there's nothing wrong with that. And even just enjoying different physical intimacy, like just hugging your friends when you see them, that's a good thing, and because you might feel just some happiness out of that. Also, there is the professional domain. Take your time, and from time to time, take a break from your studying. Even if it's 5 minutes, even if it's 1 hour, even if it's 1 day, 2 days, whatever works for you, take a break from time to time. If you have an exam in 1 week, but in 1 day you just feel like you cannot do anything, and you're feeling very frustrated and very sad that you have to study, just take a break, go for a walk, watch a movie, do whatever feels right for you, because what's more important, to have a straight biggest grade, it depends how is noted in your country, or just have a bit smaller grade, not the smallest one, you still have to pass your exam, but still keep your mental health in the best corner. Also, leave university work, leave all the stuff about your exams there in that corner near your study table. Don't go out with your friends and start talking again about university. There are other things that are enjoyable in the world, so just take a break from everything from time to time. Another aspect that is very important is the psychological one. If you want, you can go to therapy or counseling. That is not something reserved with people who are diagnosed with mental health conditions. Therapy is for everyone. If you just feel like you need from time to time to talk with someone, and you don't feel like you can talk with your friends or family, or you don't want to, let's say, burden them, in case you feel that way, there's always a choice to go to therapy, and this should not be stigmatized, because it should be something normal. It's just you just talking with someone else and expressing your thoughts and not keeping all to yourself. Another useful thing is meditation, and also taking time for self-reflection. Just evaluate how is your life going right now. Is there something that you want to change? Is there something that you could change, because you have to be realistic with things, and just focus on one little thing that you might want to change, and do that step by step, not from one day to another. It might take a while, but still evaluate your life, reflect on it, and see what can be changed in order to have a better mental health. Another thing very important and very useful actually is keeping a journal, or like you can just write your thoughts when you go to sleep. Okay, today I did this, okay, I didn't like that. Just put all your thoughts on a piece of paper, and then let those thoughts go away. Or even though I know if it might sound cheesy for you, just writing on a piece of paper what you feel grateful for in that specific day. It can be even a small thing, like I had a really great meal today, and I'm very grateful for that. And you just hang on to that, because even that is a good thing that's happening in your life. It doesn't have to be always big things. Okay, this is even a good thing to do in this time of quarantine when you're staying home. Just think about, okay, today I watched an amazing movie, and I'm very grateful for that, and my life is good because of that. It doesn't have to be always just going out and running everywhere and stuff like that. It can be even a small thing. Another thing, another domain is the personal one. Okay, which means try to find some time for yourself. You can learn a new skill, you can read a book, you can just go out with friends or spend time with your family, or even if you are the type of person that likes to plan and set goals, you can just take some time or a day a week to just plan, okay, what am I going to do in the next week? Okay, just whatever makes you happy in a personal way. Another domain is the emotional one. You can either explore a hobby or just enjoy some nice time with your pet, or just if you feel like it, you can cry. Oh my God, I have an exam tomorrow. I just feel like crying. I know nothing. If that's fine with you, you can do it. Or if you just want to laugh, you can put on some stand-up comedy and just do that because it's for yourself. Or even just laugh because, I know, you just remember something, because you can just do all these things whenever you want them. No one is saying you don't do those. This is just for yourself and just to feel emotionally balanced. And the last domain to look at is the spiritual one. Now, if you're religious, you can pray to God, or you can either spend some time in nature, or you can just sing or dance or do some yoga, or even if that motivates you to go further in life, you can volunteer for a cause that you believe in. Okay, and also practice forgiveness, and first of all, forgive yourself whenever you don't feel like it. Just forgive yourself, because you're human and all the humans make mistakes. Okay, so these are the things that might prevent you with developing a mental health issue. This is a self-care wheel. And you don't have to do all of these things. You don't have to feel guilty if you cannot, for example, exercise. But if there is just one thing that keeps you mentally healthy, that's a good thing, and you could just hang on to that, and yeah, just feel good with yourself. Now we are coming to the end of the presentations, and if you have any questions, I'm gonna close this so I can see the chat too. You can write it in the chat or just open your microphone, whatever works with you. Is there online consultation? From what I know there are some websites, but I'm not I don't know their names, to be honest. But yeah, Taur, do you know some?
Yeah, I can say that like we have different websites or online platforms in every country, and like there are many organizations that that are online in your country. I guess so. So you can just Google it, and I'm sure you will find some. But yeah, I don't have anything in my mind right now. Any online websites?
Can I also add something?
Yes, of course.
I'm sorry. Yeah. So I've heard at least that now during quarantine, most governments have established online counseling platforms. So I think that for now, each country must have something. I don't know specifically for each country, but yeah.
I also found one because I remember I went once to a presentation of there. It's called Atlas Help. It's also, I see that's in 4 languages, in English, Spanish, Romanian, and French. I can send here the link. You can have different online consultation with psychologists or psychotherapists, and they might help you if needed. But I think you have to pay for it. I don't think it's free. Okay. Okay, what makes us special, but I'm not sure I understand the question. You're saying that what makes us special leads to depression?
If you don't have any things that makes you special, like
Well, yeah, do you want to answer this?
yeah, I can I can try to answer this because it's a quite complex problem, and but it's also a really often problem. Like you can think again what makes you special. You can ask your friends, your family, what things you can do, and what you're doing well. So you can ask them if you don't have any in your head right now, and I'm sure they can answer to your question. Do you have anything to add, Julie?
You answer pretty well.
Okay. Okay, if it
Yeah.
helps.
Yeah, it's a good thing to ask your friends or your family, like, what do they think? Maybe you just don't see it. You don't see the thing that makes you special. But again, don't hang on just to this, because it doesn't mean that if you didn't find what makes you special yet, it doesn't mean you don't have time for some self-reflection, and it doesn't mean that if you didn't find this yet, you are going to develop depression. It's not strictly like that.
Yeah. If you need any other thoughts, you can tell us. Okay. We have one more.
Do you want me to share also the questions that were in the form, even though most of them are covered from what you said so far?
Yeah, of course. But we have one question more, I think. And then we can answer them. What keeps you motivated to study on days when you really can't get started? Okay, that's also a very good question. For me, I think you have the basically what I do is I divide everything into small parts, and I celebrate small wins. So if you have a big exam coming, you basically divide it into small parts or subjects, and you can study every one of them, and you can take a break after one subject or after a while when you're studying, and you can basically have a small celebration. And also if you have a site, if you know what want to do and why you're studying, because everything starts with why, and then we can go through basically everything. But that's just my study tip here.
Yeah, I'm also using the one with remember why you started. Yeah, for me, what keeps me motivated, well, sometimes I just take a break and I start studying very late. For example, I take half of the day, I take a break because I just don't feel like studying. Or in other times, I just use the Pomodoro technique, if you know it, where you just study for 25 minutes, let's say, and then you take a 5 minutes break all the time. And that, I don't, for me, it works. It keeps me focused at least for some time, even though sometimes I don't have just a 5 minutes break and it's 15 or more. But at least I know that for that amount of time, I will keep studying and just be focused on my work. And because I know that even though it's less that I was expecting, at least it's something. So sometimes when you just start, because a lot of times it's very hard to just start studying, after you start it becomes easier. Hope that explained it to you a bit, or we have given you a little bit of tips. Okay. Another question. Okay, what types of activities can we organize to increase the awareness of the mental health of medical students in our own schools? Okay. Well, you can have some kind of presentations, for example, from students to students, or even invite an external to talk about this. You might talk about different issues that you might encounter in the medical school, or just talk about how to cope with stress, how to avoid burnout. And maybe some of them don't are developing these things, but they are not realizing that. But maybe if they are becoming aware of it through different presentations, conferences, they might look at what they might look at the way that they are acting every day, and maybe that will make them become more aware of their situation. That's an example.
Yeah, I can also add something to this. So, for example, you can ask someone, of course, if someone agrees to share personal stories, it also helps. Maybe a junior doctor or someone who has graduated and can share stories or give some tips how to do it. And also what we have to in here in Estonia. Basically, we have mental health nights where we raise awareness, and also we have some kind of stress release activity. For example, we will meet with the therapy dogs, the husky dogs, or like have art therapy or any kind of activities that also releases stress and raises the awareness to mental health issues. So there's many ideas online, so you can Google it and yeah, that's just an addition, but like you can also have the presentation and everything, as Julia said. So you can do everything if you have if you have ideas and time. Yes.
Did we answer your question, or do you want more examples? Okay. Another question. Do you think you ever had any kind of mental health issues because of being a medical student, and how did you get over them? Okay. Okay, this is a bit personal, but I can share my experience with you when in some exams I felt like I was really getting into burnout, especially in my first years of medical school, when we were having exams for 1 month continuously. like minimum two exams per week, and I had to study for more than 1 month constantly and not go out and stuff like that. And yeah, I was feeling pretty exhausted. And the one thing that I relied on to get over these situations were my parents, because I reached them out and I told them that I cannot do it anymore. I don't know what to do. Please help me. Just, I don't know. I told them I cannot study. And for example, in my university, if you don't have the best grades every year, you have to pay for university. So that was a really stressful thing, because I always had to have good grades. But my parents just talked to me, and they explained that it's okay to feel that way. You can take a break now. There's no need. And I just had a lot of support from them. But if I was alone, I don't know, I would probably have just contacted another friend, maybe that wasn't struggling with so many exams, or just to share me some of their tips. Because for me, it works a lot, just the social support from my close friends and family. Yeah, that works for me.
Yeah, that's also the thing for me too. And also, yeah, my advice is to take time for something else, not only studying. I know it's hard sometimes, but yeah, for me it helps if you take time for another activities, or just for yourself, to relax and get out of the study bubble basically, and do something else. And yeah, I hope it answers the question. Okay. Yeah, the presentation will be uploaded. Yeah, you answered this one. Good.
Yeah. Are there any more questions? If not, you also covered.
I'm reading the chats right now.
Yeah. And basically all questions that were submitted through the form are also covered. So, yeah.
How do you deal with the competition? There is that question. Well, with studying, but trying to balance everything. And yeah, just trying to balance, not forgetting about your personal time, not forgetting about uh, um, your friends. And you cannot just avoid it completely, but if there is balance in other aspects of your life, it might the competition issue might be manageable. And maybe if you feel that the competition issue is getting very there's too, that is very that's there is a lot of tension there, maybe just focus in that moment on something else and not think about that. Or maybe if there's a competition with studying, just focus on studying for yourself first of all, and not to compete with others. That's what I'm thinking about that. Tauri, if you want to add something else.
I think you answered
Okay.
the question. Okay, I guess we answered to every question now.
There's the last one, but it's again a bit more personal. So if you don't prefer to go with it, it says, have you ever had the feeling of being depressed?
I did, to be honest. But I managed to pass that moment, and thankfully it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I have came through it too, and the one thing that you should mention, what we should mention is to have a good support system, someone
Yeah.
to reach out to, search for help, and so on.
Mhm. Thank you so much. If there are any other questions, maybe because it gets late, as in we were thinking of that the webinar will take approximately 1 hour. So maybe if there are more questions, we can send them to Tower and Yuria, in case we're delaying you from something else. Otherwise, thank you so much. The webinar was really informative, and thank you for being here. You're probably busy with a lot, but I think it was really insightful for all participants. And yes, as I mentioned earlier, the webinar will be uploaded with some like fixing a little bits here and there on YouTube, and I will email with a link. So yeah, if there is nothing else, thank you for being here tonight, and see you
Thank you.
hopefully next week.
Thank you too for this opportunity.
Thank you,
Yeah,
everyone.
sure. So good night.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Bye.
Bye.